Hi everyone, this is Anthony O'Flynn coming to you live from the Sunshine Coast. Friday afternoon. What a week it has been. What a week. Are you enjoying the show? It's the greatest show on earth, isn't it? You wouldn't miss it for the world. Well,
hello.
Hey, how you going? I don't know who that person was. I really don't think I know that person. So it's better than reality TV, life on this planet. 2020 is a gift that just keeps on giving, and this year has just been many things, but what we're experiencing currently with the US presidential election, regardless of your partisan views, is the real indication of a system that is in terminal decline. And the very foundation of democracy is being challenged at its core with the revelations that are literally coming to light hour by hour with this process of electing the leader, the political leader of the USA. And in a very clear way, we can see that it's really becoming apparent to everybody, regardless of what side of the political fence that you sit on, regardless of your views, that we are in a system that is really declining. Quite bizarrely, last night I actually checked CNN, and I shouldn't have been making this video because I should be getting everything ready for Paradigm Shift, but thought I'd take a break. And yeah, I never really checked CNN unless there's some major reason, like major global event occurring, such as the one happening now with the decision of the US presidential election. And I'm running a Google campaign at the moment to promote Paradigm Shift, and there was actually an ad at the very top of CNN, a huge ad for the Paradigm Shift Summit. I thought I'd hit the wrong website, or there was a glitch, or there was something, and I even clicked on the ad to check that it worked. I've taken a screenshot of it, I'll put it up as a post. But I just thought, wow, that is such a profound synchronicity. I really did, because it really was a case of witnessing the old paradigm versus a new paradigm. Kind of ironic as well that the ratings for CNN are so bad right now that they even need to have ads on their own website to make ads from Google, from AdSense. Anyone who knows anything about AdSense knows that you make hardly any money from having ads on your website. I mean, you really need a lot of traffic. And also ironic that CNN actually indirectly helping support Paradigm Shift Summit. Yeah, it's funny. It's a crazy time we're living through. So the point is that this US presidential election has been one of the most polarizing we've ever seen, even perhaps more polarizing than some of the presidential elections in the 60s in America, which was again highly charged time with the counterculture, the hippie movement, the anti-war movement for the Vietnam War, assassination of Kennedy, the whole Nixon era, LBJ era. Very turbulent times. In many ways, there's a real correlation between the 60s and the 20s, which is going to unfold more and make more sense to people that perhaps didn't live through it or study the counterculture, the hippie movement. And of course, we're living through the 20s now, which is going to be continually challenging for all of us because of this ongoing global paradigm shift, and this isn't going to go away with this election. In fact, the turmoil in many ways has just started in America. I mean, I know it's been festering for a long time. There's a lot of division, political division and so on. But really now, unfortunately, the case is this division is going to go deeper, and I have been saying for quite some time, and it gives me no joy saying this, that there is a possibility that there could eventually be some kind of a civil war in America. And there's not going to be no end to this resolution of this election now, regardless of who wins, because the overall sentiment is, for many people, it's become so polarized. There's no gray area between the Republicans and the Democrats. Many people are either completely pro-Trump or just anti-Trump, not even necessarily pro-Democrat, which we've seen. And this means that we're really in a place now where there needs to be a lot of healing, but unfortunately, perhaps the flashpoint hasn't even been met yet with the announcement of the winner of the presidential campaign, which is yet to follow. Now, at the moment, my understanding of everything that I'll tell you now is the research that I've done. Take it with a grain of salt. But really, it's important to look beyond the mainstream media, because you're not going to get any of the real facts of what's occurring there. I've actually been trying to research some of the information that I have been discovering on social media, which what we're seeing now is really the power of social media unfolding, because we're seeing some of the personal first-hand accounts in real time. We're seeing the anecdotes. We're seeing people making videos live direct from the actual polling booths as well. We're hearing people firsthand talk about their experience voting, all kinds of things which I'll get to now. The mainstream media is just basically kind of gone missing in action with this election, and their coverage of it has been completely dismal, completely woeful. It's yet just another nail in the coffin of actually really understanding what journalism is. You can't really even call it journalism anymore. It's just simply propaganda. And that's really what they've descended into. This quote by Joseph Stalin really sums up the issue of the vote count. And he stated, "It's not who votes that counts, it's who counts the votes." And this is a really profound statement, because it really indicates that this idea of tyranny is basically based on someone who is controlling things from above the actual democratic process. Now, I'll go through some of these things now. You make up your own mind what you think, but the facts are coming in pretty thick and fast. There's a lot of data flying around, a lot of various information and so on. And basically, in Detroit, there was 4,788 duplicate registrations for voting. There was 32,519 more registered voters than eligible voters. 2,503 dead people were registered to vote in Detroit. One was actually born in 1823. And then we have in Michigan, apparently in the middle of the night, 138,339 votes mysteriously turned up, and they all went to vote for Biden. In 6 states at around 2 a.m. in the middle of the night, counting stopped in all of those 6 states, which apparently there are Democratic governors in all of those 6 states. That's never happened before in the history of any presidential election. No explanation as to why that occurred, and notably Trump was winning in all 6 of those states and the voting just stopped. Interestingly, in Wisconsin, the voter turnout is so high that it is statistically improbable. It's 5.5 standard deviations from the mean. Historical average sits at about 66.8%, and in 2020 the turnout was 89.3%. If you see a graph of that, you'll see immediately that that is statistically improbable from a statistical point of view, and we can see that there's a lot of unanswered questions yet coming out, and a lot of statistics, facts and so on, which really have no valid explanation, or there's been no explanation offered. And in Pennsylvania, Trump was winning by 700,000 votes when 75% of the vote had been counted. Now he's up by just under 23,000. Again, that's pretty much, from a statistical point of view, highly unlikely. Now, there have been a lot of allegations, of course, of voter fraud and a lot of calling for review and stop counting the votes, all these sorts of things. At the moment, the sentiment that I am getting is that there is a deep unease in America as to what's occurring. There is a real feeling of unease and uncertainty, and obviously no one really knows the outcome of this. The people have voted, and I do not feel that this will be decided any further by the people, but in the courts. So legal action is being launched. Pennsylvania particularly is one area that's going to come under a lot of scrutiny, and we'll just have to see what's happened there. Again, in Wisconsin, there were more votes than registered voters. Again, check this information. Some of the information, the numbers actually vary, but they're all actually very, very significant. Like, they're very high counts of numbers of votes coming in for Biden that were mail-in ballots in the middle of the night. Now, you'll have to make up your own mind what you think about this. Of course, there's the big information going around about this mysterious watermark that was actually on the ballot papers themselves. And there's a lot of information. I'm not saying I necessarily believe it, but there's a lot of people expressing the view that this was actually some kind of a fail-safe plan, just in case there was some kind of voter fraud, to ensure that only those votes will be counted if there is a recount. Now, what I don't understand about that personally, maybe someone can explain it to me or put it in the comments, that if there was a watermark on the ballot papers, which is coming through in the last sort of 24 hours as one of the strongest issues around the voter fraud, is if there was that ballot, that watermark there, and I've seen a few documents relating to that, then would that not have been public information for everyone to access before the actual election itself? Why is that something that's only coming out now? Something that is of these sort of electoral matters, it's more of a government body that is more neutral in this way, that would have access to that sort of information publicly, that it wouldn't have been a secret. I don't have any answer to those questions, and I'm sure in time will tell, and we'll get to discover what's actually occurring there. But I do feel that there are a lot of people suggesting that the entire Trump challenge to the voter fraud, really hinges on that particular claim in itself. So let's see. And of course, there's so much information flying around at the moment, it's really difficult to know what is fact, what is fiction, what is misinformation, what is disinformation. But this one thing is really clear. If Biden is confident that he is going to win, and he is confident of the democratic process, then why isn't he supporting publicly an open and transparent count at this point? And that would be something that surely any political candidate would support, regardless of the circumstances, was a confirmation of the transparency of the count or the recount, and basically a support of the democratic process itself. So let's see what happens from his camp, from the Democrats, what they say. It's a very emotionally charged topic, and we're seeing people really getting triggered very easily around this. Obviously, at a deeper level and a personal level, we need to really start to, in some ways, detach from the noise and to take a step back and take a breath from what's occurring, because what's occurring at a deeper level is the function of the divine will, and this is unstoppable. And if either of those two candidates is to become president, or in case of Donald Trump to remain president, then it's unstoppable. And this is something to take heart in, and to understand that there is a divine will that it cannot be stopped, and it is undeniable, it is irrefutable, it is irreversible, it is all supreme, and ultimately the divine will control the outcome of this election. It seems to me that at one level, if this voter fraud is confirmed, and I mean publicly confirmed, that there is the potential for this election to be the biggest red pill that we have ever seen yet. And I'm talking even in terms of what's been happening with the coronavirus and all the issues surrounding that, that if it has been irrefutably, legally exposed that there has been systematic voter fraud in this election, then it will be a damaging blow to the Democrat Party in America for at least 1 decade, and people all around the world will come to see the lies and the deception and the basically win at all cost attitude of the Democrats if this is proven to be true. And I mean in a court of law, publicly, irrefutably, beyond reasonable doubt. Now, I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen. I'm not saying that's what I believe what's going to happen. But through the turmoil, the only way I see it is that we're moving into this age of truth, this Satya Yuga, that it is irrefutable that more darkness will come to light. And this may be the biggest clear occurrence of this yet. And it may be that, that the many twists and turns that we can see unfolding in regard to this election and the whole personality of Donald Trump himself, which is, it's quite amazing the amount of energy, the amount of focus, the amount of polarization that this man has created around the planet for various reasons, that it could be that there is a master plan unfolding, and this has got nothing to do with the whole QAnon thing or being a pro-Trump fan or anything like this, that there could be a much bigger process occurring, which is basically unfolding the truth of systemic voter fraud in the US election, which will have irrefutable effects on people actually being red pill, discovering the truth and beginning to awaken through a very chaotic and turbulent time. It's really no way to tell yet. It's very, very early days, and this is not going to be decided quickly. Apparently, if the election is within 1%, then that is legally allowed to be called on for recount, which I understand that Donald Trump has actually started in Wisconsin, as I said. So I can't see any resolution to this matter in the short term, and it's really just a question of enjoying the show, particularly if you are interested in these sorts of matters, because the Great Awakening is going ahead full power and nothing can stop that. And what role this election has in that remains to be seen, but it could also be that this is the beginning of a whole new era. Joe Biden will be sworn in as the president, and perhaps that will lead to deeper dysfunction, deeper turmoil, more chaos, and again that will serve as the trigger for a greater awakening as well. Either way, how this goes, it's only a one-way ticket for the Great Awakening now, and the events that create that are just simply catalysts one way or another, and I'm sure in the fullness of time we'll get to discover more truths as they become uncovered. Fascinating though, hearing some of these accounts firsthand. If you're in Australia and you don't understand what a Sharpie is, because apparently a lot of people were given Sharpies in the voter booths to use for their ballot papers, a Sharpie is actually a texter, what we would call a texter or a marker. And the issue being that if it bleeds through, then the machines won't record the votes. So why this is occurring, I have no answer to that, but there's numerous first-hand accounts indicating that there was the use of Sharpies at the polling booths, and that they are fully aware that that will not be that vote will not be recorded. We've seen the photos of the votes being dumped by the road in civilian cars, people with photos picking up ballot boxes full of papers, putting them in personal cars. I don't have any answers to any of those first-hand reports. I'm just like everybody else, just watching it unfold. But it's important to step back from it, not believe everything that you read on social media. Take a breath, review the numbers that I have even provided here in this Facebook Live, and to to really try to get some deeper equanimity through the turmoil that we're going through, because in the bigger picture this is not going to subside in this decade. It'll be showing up one way or another, and this is really the Great Awakening coming to us day by day in this process that we're occurring on the planet, which many people are surprised that there is so much turmoil, so much chaos. But when we're living in such a time of deep darkness, the destabilization of the darkness to allow the light to stabilize is only going to create a lot of a discord, disharmony in the short term, uncertainty, turmoil and confusion. A lot of the people going through the awakening process that are perhaps in the early stages of it, or who are just beginning this journey, they're in a state of deep confusion at the moment, and they're really not sure what to believe. So it's a very difficult time for them. So be patient, be compassionate with them. They are indoctrinated beyond our imagination in terms of what they actually believe in regard to what they see in the mainstream media, and their overall views are completely fabricated through the indoctrination, the mind control that is the mainstream media and all the other values that have had instilled in them. And waking up is deprogramming our minds from this lifelong process of being indoctrinated into values that do not serve us individually or collectively. Anyway, that's enough from me. Enjoy the show. Have a great weekend. Thanks for watching. We live in epic times.